On a Columnar Self by Emily Dickinson, 1830 to 1886. On a columnar self, how ample to rely in tumult or in extremity, how good the certainty. That lever cannot pry and wedge cannot divide conviction. That granitic base, though none be on our side, suffice us for a crowd, Ourself and Rectitude, and that assembly not far off from furthest spirit, God. Okay, this is a poem by Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson came from Amherst, Massachusetts. She came from a fairly wealthy family, and she wrote something like 2,000 poems. Now, her poems were not published. Well, one or two were published while she was alive, but almost all of her poems were published after her death by her sister. Let's see, Emily Dickinson was a recluse. She didn't like being with people, and she spent one large part of her life locked in her room. She didn't like dealing with people, and this poem, On a Columnar Self, well, this is a self that is like a column. So this is a poem about being like a column, being like a pillar that supports everything. So it's about being a pillar to your own life, that you are your own pillar, you rely on yourself. And as a recluse, I think she was happiest with her own company, that she liked to be alone because she could trust herself, she could be relaxed on her own. So it's about the concept of self. It's about relying on yourself. That if you rely on yourself, if you know who you are, if yourself is like a stone pillar, then you support a complete building. A pillar supports a building, and even when things are difficult, even when things are extreme, you are certain of yourself because you know what you want, and nothing can break you apart, nothing can divide you from your own convictions, because you're based on solid rock. Your ideas are your own solid rock ideas, even though nobody supports you. And this support of ourself is as good as being supported by a crowd, and this leaves us very close to God. It's as if an imaginary crowd were behind you and supporting you, and that crowd of people that are supporting you, yourself, the whole world, is as if God is supporting you. So it's saying that oneself is the central pillar of one's life, that you are the central pillar of your life, and you are that's what makes you strong. That's what makes you gives you something to rely on in difficult times. So this is a poem talking about the self, about your own being yourself, having your own ideas. So on a columnar self, being like a column, myself is like a column. how ample to rely. So this is something strong that you can rely on in tumult, in difficult times, in extremity. How good the certainty. So it's really good to have a certainty, to be certain about yourself in difficult times. How good the certainty that lever cannot pry. So you can't use a lever to break yourself open, and wedge cannot divide conviction. So the world can't bang wedges to split you open, because you are like a stone column, that granitic base. So your character, yourself, is a base of granite that even if nobody is on your side, yourself is a base of granite that supports everything. And even though nobody is on our side, nobody supports us, this is enough. This is enough to be supported by a crowd. So the base of your character is like being supported by a crowd, and yourself is a crowd, and you follow rectitude, you follow the right path. You're proud to follow the right path because you know you're doing the right thing. And that assembly, that crowd that is following you, that crowd in yourself, is very, very close to the Spirit of God. This certainty in yourself is almost godlike. So this is a very clever poem talking about self and describing the abstract concept of self. On a Columnar Self by Emily Dickinson.